Is that something that was recorded earlier?
No?
Must be.
Why? What's going on?
This is me. I'm looking on my phone and it.
Well,
I don't know.
it'll show up later. All right. There we go. Well, Rodney, we're live. People aren't going to start looking for us for another couple minutes, but we're going to mess around with it a little bit. But we are broadcasting right now. I'm going to change the thumbnail of this real quick.
Okay.
There it is. There it is. Boom. Save. Okay. All right. So that's all we need to do for that. So Sydney's in. A couple folks are in. And let's see here. We can add a couple of photos, I guess.
There you go. Rodney's arms are disappearing.
Oh, your arms?
Yeah, that's the Skype doing it.
Oh, making it because of the, yeah.
Yeah.
Let me see here. I'll throw a picture up, a couple pictures. And yeah, boy, that live streaming it sometimes is pretty frustrating for me because I mean, I just was on with YouTube. You saw me for like 45 minutes. They can't even figure out how to make these things work, you know? And so I guess we just do what we do. And so we'll get it going today. And
Somehow.
yeah, we'll get it figured out. But really, you know, they can see us both. Hey, Scott. Scott's here. And couple folks are here. Yeah, I'm going to download some of those cool pictures that you sent me.
Getting it out of the backyard.
Yeah, because that's the conversation we want to have today, in my opinion. Is well, I mean, I'll get people caught up as to kind of what's going on with my whole situation, but yeah, I want to throw some of those pictures up too.
Let me go grab my glasses.
So you can see us. I thought you said you got those contacts. Didn't you get surgery? I thought you got surgery. All right. All right. Well, we're going to get going. So, evening, this Sage, and right over there is Rodney. Rodney is one of our, just one of the fellow Silversides owners that, boy, you reached out to me pretty early into the first recovery, if I recall, right?
I did.
And ever since then, you've been pretty much giving me like great advice and stuff like that. So I figured, you know, I should explain. Jason, his wife's birthday is today, and there is no way we are going to beat out his wife's when it comes to his birthday. I think that, you know, we're important people, Rodney, but I don't think that we're gonna trump Angie. So he's actually, I think, as we speak, he's doing a romantic horse and carriage ride around Niagara Falls, Niagara on the Lake, which is down by Niagara Falls. And so I think that's actually a really cool thing that they're doing. And so, but that means that they're not going to be here today, and so that's kind of just you and me. So with that, um, we're going to probably throw up some pictures, and so a couple people haven't been able to find us in the last couple weeks. Two Feathers is here. Dan's here. Dan, have you left yet for Florida? I know you're supposed to be getting out of here pretty quick. I'm just wondering if Dan's left yet.
See, bus old man Phil's on here.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me see here. Let me throw up I'm gonna throw up a photo real quick. So, yeah. So anyway, Dan's not leaving till the day after Christmas. All right. Well, Dan just lives not down the street. Dan lives, let me think. He probably lives about 20 minutes away from me. And somebody was asking me this week when, oops, it's kind of sad all over us. Dan was kind of wondering this week, somebody was wondering where they could get those cool signs from the the display signs that I've got in my buses. And Dan is the guy who does that. So right now we're looking at a picture of Norca, and this is something that's been going on the last couple of weeks as well. Norca joined my family Tuesday 2 weeks ago. I've had Bernese Mountain Dogs for almost 20 years, and we haven't had one in a while. And I'm sitting here all by myself because my wife's in New York and I'm in Michigan, and it gets pretty bad with COVID. I don't know how things are there, but we're not getting out very much. I'm trying. You can't go to restaurants because restaurants are, they won't allow restaurants right now, and so I've been talking to some of my friends in the Bernese Mountain Dog world, and this dog happened to be in need of a home, and she is terrific. She's sleeping right behind me right now, but she's 18 months old, and she's just she's a sweetheart dog. She's super bright. She's going to be a great dog, and so we've been getting along pretty well over the last 10 days, 10, 12 days. I think we've been working together. And so it's been a lot of fun, but we're basically at a point where I have to schedule my life around her. I'm walking 5 miles every day and stuff like that, but she's good. She can hang up by herself, and that's always good too. So what I'm dropping in right now is the dashboard of Rodney's bus, and Rodney's got his bus behind him too. If you look behind Rodney, you can see his bus being pulled out of the woods. Rodney, this isn't your first bus, right? And kind of tell people a little bit about yourself, because I want to talk about bees tonight, and I want to talk about other stuff too. But you live in South Carolina.
South Carolina. Started off with an MCI 40-footer, the flood bus, where it got flooded about halfway up the axle. So didn't really hurt much, just anything, hub level down. So I've gone through all the brakes, all the electrical, the heater, and all that stuff. And then I picked up a 4104 that belonged to Leroy Ash here in North Carolina. He passed away, and then it got somebody else, and they didn't know what to do with it. So I picked it up off of them. And then the Silversides it went on for quite a while. The people had it on eBay. They wanted just crazy money for it, for what it was.
Right.
Then I told him, I said, you just keep in touch with me until, if you sell it, great. If you don't, then let me know. I'll help you out. So
you got it. I wouldn't call it a fire sale, but you got a good price on it.
Oh yeah. I got a good price on it. It was taken apart. The generator was laying on the ground. The air pump was missing. Valve cover was laying off of it. It was really rusty. The fuel crossover tubes were just, oh man, they just crumbled in your hand. I put 3 injectors in it and adjusted everything, and it fired it up. It just cranked up and ran. It was almost uneventful, really. I expected it to be something.
So the engine was actually pretty good.
It seems to be.
Yeah. So it's one of those situations where it looks a lot worse than it ended up being.
Exactly. I pulled the bottom off the oil pan, cleaned the sump a couple of times because all the stuff that was in it, because I had to vacuum out the dirt, the leaves, the rodent stuff, and all that was up under the valve, well, where the valve cover was supposed to be, and got it going. Still got a ways to go. I'm still rewiring it, going to 24 volt, and have a 12-volt DC, 24 to 12-volt DC converter for the lights and the regular stuff in the bus. But that'll be set up better for an inverter when I get to that point, having 24 volts already.
So one of the things, and people are saying that you're a little quieter than I am, and of course, I'm using that microphone that makes me sound pretty loud. But if you could maybe lean in a little bit, there's a couple folks who just can't hear you as well. So
how's that, guys? Is that any better?
Well, let's see. It actually got worse.
Oh, wow.
So you're just using your computer mic. So is there a way to get it closer, or is it just on your computer?
Yeah, it's just right there. I don't have another mic to plug in.
That's okay. I will. In Skype, I really don't have a way to adjust your, one individual's mic level up. So let me see what I can do about adjusting you up.
All I have is a mute, unmute button is all I have.
Yeah, Skype doesn't do that. Let me switch over my mic so that maybe I'm at the same volume and everybody can just turn me up.
Okay.
So there. Now I'm on my.
You blasting them and then me not.
Right.
So everybody, is that better?
Phil Fox says you should yell.
Yeah, I see that.
So I'm a little quieter now, but I don't know. Just maybe you can lean in a little bit more. Okay, now people said they can hear you a little bit. Old Busman Phil suggested get a little closer to your computer. So maybe if you come a little closer, maybe that's it. Lean in, talk a little louder.
That make you feel better, Phil?
Everybody's telling me to yell. Oh, if you know how to go into the mic settings on your laptop, I guess there's a way you can turn up the mic in your laptop. So while he's messing with that, I'm going to point out some of these pictures. First off, take a look at this. Take a look at this bus. It was basically tucked right behind a house, and if I recall, I don't think he's the only one that looked at it. I think some other folks were looking at it as well, and I mean, I can't remember if somebody. I can't remember. Two Feathers, did you? I know Two Feathers is on tonight. Two Feathers, did you go down and look at this bus? I can't remember who else somebody else that's in the community had gone and looked at it. So I don't know, but if you take a look at that bus, it's really. I mean, it's really in there. He did get a tow truck. He had to go across a neighbor's yard, right, to get it out?
Yeah, I had to get permission, and they took the fence down and stuff like that so I could get it through there.
All right. You're looking on how to set up your volume?
Yeah.
So one of the things that you've done that's really interesting is you've pulled up all these floorboards. You can, down at the bottom of the bus picture here, I'll zoom up this picture a little bit. This when you look down here, these all can be removed, these floorboards, and it opens up a channel that goes underneath here and into the dashboard where your settings are all located. And you've already been under there, and you've actually pulled new wire. And that's something that I'm definitely going to have to do on my pre-war bus, is going to need that to be done, because it's, it's just a mess. And, everything is 80 years old. And I'm really intrigued because you sort of started over. You put in new resistors or regulators from what I saw, and did a lot of new stuff.
I basically gutted everything from the dash back. Everything that went through through all the luggage bins and all that down through the airway. Pulled all new wire back to the control panel in the back, on your trip home that was flopping open.
Mm-hmm.
And I mounted all my new relays back there, my start relay, my reverse relay, my shutdown relay, all that's in there.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be my connections from the tail lights to the front. Anything from that front harness to anywhere in the rear of the bus is going to be a junction right there at that point. So I run my new battery cables back to the starter and to that through a 150 amp fuse to feed that area to get the 24 volts back there. And then I'm going to put my DC to DC converter in the last luggage bay back where all the connections from the battery and so forth come in, and feed a 12 volt run up to the front for my gauges, my speedometer, all the lights. It's a 100 amp DC to DC converter. So that will should more than be enough to run that stuff.
Well, here, let me turn that up. So I guess that's just one of those things that how long did that take you to do all of that?
I spent several weeks on it, just working off and on. I got the kids and all that stuff. It's kind of work it in when I can, and the weather and so forth. Had to get my wife to help me get the wires through the bus. The hardest part was getting it in that back section over the axles, over those two fuel tanks, to the piece of conduit that goes around the back over behind the engine. Apparently there had been some repairs on the wiring that was there, and they wouldn't pull through because they were just a big wad. I don't know how they did it and got them in there, but had to wind up cutting the conduit and pulling the elbow section that comes out from under the bus behind the motor, and to get that lump out so I could get the wires pulled back through. And then I just used a rubber hose and linked the two pieces back together, because I didn't want to weld on them, put heat on them with the wire in it, just to seal it so it could get back to that control panel area, and still be protected.
So, okay, so would you say it was pretty complicated to do it, or just have to be patient?
We just have to be patient. What I did is I set up all my reels of wire on pieces of pipe, conduit, or whatever, and pulled out. I thought I pulled 38 wires out, but I missed one roll, so I had 37 I pulled back there, and laid them on the ground, taped them together, made just a rough end harness to keep the wires together. And I pulled them from the stairwell, because I pulled the steps out. I pulled them from there all the way through the bus, and then I pulled them back through the front behind the license plate, back up through behind the door mechanism into the dash, and up to where my connections are going to be, where the old fuse panel was up front.
So somebody was asking, everybody can hear you now. I figured out what was going on. Did you run multi-conductor cable or individual wires?
I ran individual wires.
Okay.
Yeah, I was able to get more of those through without having to modify any of the holes where the grommets where the original wiring went through. If I run individuals, I run a mixture of 14 and 16 gauge wire through there, like half and half.
Oh, so how did you know what's going to be used for 16? What's going to be used for larger?
16 will probably be used for like tail lights and such as that, and the 14 will be used for like my oil pressure sensor, my temperature sensor, the grounding of the relays for the shutdown, emergency shutdown, and that's what I'm doing with it. I'm just using the switches up front as grounds to trip the relays in the back to do what they're supposed to do. I'm not running power all the way to the front and then all the way back to the back to control the relays. I'm just letting the switches do the grounding. Like the start, it will just put a ground on the lead going to the relay to pull it to start the bus.
So all the relay really does is, I mean, the starter obviously needs, you know, like 0-2 big battery cables, you know, that come in. What the relay does is so you don't have to run it all the way to the front of the bus. When you engage the starter from the front, hit that start button. What it does is it closes the bridge so that the power straight from the battery goes straight to the starter, correct?
Yeah, well, it does that anyway with the solenoid on the starter, but the control relays are an interface between the front and the back to cue everything to work. So the relay in the back will actually pull the solenoid for the starter. So the button up front's not pulling that full current to try to pull that relay in, or that solenoid on top of the starter. So the power has less far to travel. It's just right there. Like the reverse relay, the reverse solenoid, it only has to go up to that little box on the side to pull it. It doesn't have to have the voltage drop of the entire bus. It just works more efficiently that way.
Well, okay, so basically I'm going to call you when it comes time to do this. But well, so one of the other things, so now you've got a couple other buses. Your 4104, is that one that you're running and you guys actually use a lot?
Well, we drive it around. It's the one that had the where the windows were caulked up all the way around, and they did it in such a way that when the water ran off the roof, it actually got trapped behind the window sills where the sash is, and it just poured over in the bus. And it rotted some of the floors in the back, so we've basically gutted it, and we're replacing the floor from the back to the front to where it's good again. Mm-hmm. And while that's up, I'm going to repair the air beam on the left rear where it has got a crack, holes rusted in the top of it. I can access that now. So I'm going to repair that.
So, wow, so you got 3 bus projects going. Well, the MCI, is that one in pretty good shape?
Yeah, it's just I'm finishing up the last left rear tag axle brakes. And, that was part of the flood stuff that I had to go through to get all the mud, sticks, dirt, replace the brake chambers, and that's when I went through the DD3 chambers that were just full of water and did all that stuff.
Wow. So somebody was asking, did you color code your wire when you ran it?
Yeah, they will be they are color coded. There's only a certain number of basic colors, and I've got the wire numbers to put over each one to identify the circuit.
So you're gonna go through that labeling. I have one of those little labeling systems where you slide it in, and it. I've rewired like Volkswagens, which I said before, this isn't that much more complicated than a Volkswagen. There's a few more lines to run, but there's a couple extra feet, like a couple 30 extra feet, but. That's why I like these buses, as they seem to be just about as simple as the Volkswagens are.
Yeah, the MCI is pretty complicated as far as all the control stuff it has. But the Silversides, I bought those numbers from Amazon. They're colored, they're plastic, and you slip them over the wire before you put the connector on it, and it identifies. It won't come off, and that way I can document it, write it down, and know what every circuit goes for.
Well, that's better, probably better than what you're dealing with now.
Yeah, so, it was just a rope chewed up mess of bare wires, all it was.
So now one of the other things that you do, and by the way, we'll put Rodney's we'll put his YouTube channel in the description tonight. But you're a beekeeper, and I was just watching today. It's cold there, I guess, and the bees are sort of in hibernation, and you were just doing some maintenance, I guess, on a video you put up this week. How did you learn that? That's an art, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a lot of patience, and there's a lot of YouTube videos out there that show you, what to do, but in the end, you kind of come up with your own way of doing it. What works for you? Doesn't work for everybody. The biggest thing is just to see what they're doing. To know if something's changed. You have disease control, which is the biggest thing we have is varroa mites, which get in the cells and they deform the pupae. So when they're born, they'll have wings that they can't fly with and stuff like that. And you have to go in and treat them and get rid of those mites so that they have healthy bees. If not, your hive will just die out and go away. Or the queen will abscond and just leave all the bad stuff behind and start new again. That's kind of what nature does when things go bad. They just leave and start up somewhere else. And we don't want that because we've got too much invested in them.
So is this something you decided you wanted to do, or is this something you had growing up? That you came from a family who had bees, or?
No, it's just a curiosity. I've been curious for them forever and just enjoy them. A lot of people are scared to death of them, but they don't bother me as long as I suit up. Certain times of the year you don't even have to suit up. They never bother you. They're fine. But this time of the year, there's not a whole lot going on, so you have to kind of put your veil on because you don't want to get popped in the face. That's pretty painful. And once one pops you, they put out a pheromone, then they all want to come pop you. So that's why you have a smoker to keep them distracted.
So how many bees do you have?
I have 6 hives in the back. I have 4 fairly large ones and 2 small ones. And come spring, I'll split off some more and probably start around 6 more of them to go through the summer. And I'll harvest honey probably in June, July. Pull the spring honey off after they've got it cured and capped and bottle some of that.
Well, it's certainly interesting. So which bus gets done first, and are you gonna go road tripping with it, or what's your plans for your buses once you get them kind of where you want them?
The MCI will be the one that the family goes in, like we go somewhere, because we got 3 kids, it's kind of hard to stick them in a small area. And the MCI is already set up for 4 bunks, plus the queen, master bedroom in the back, the full bath, and all that stuff. Whereas the 4104, we pulled everything out of. And it was kind of set up like an entertainer. It didn't really have a bed in it. There was something in the back. I don't know what it was. The guy took it out before we bought it. So it was just bare back there. And, of course, the Silversides was pretty rough. It's going to take a lot. Once it's mechanical, then we'll get to the inside of it.
Well, let's see here. Just flip around.
I have almost half of the parcel racks from the rear towards the front still in the Silverside, so that's good.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they did take out the panel behind the driver's seat for the heat and air, and they took out the one where you come in. So they cut all that out. I wish they hadn't, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I got the same kinds of situations. I was trying to throw up a picture here and kind of get into some other stuff. There were a couple questions that are coming. Carolina folks have beehives to keep spying eyes away from their moonshine. Is that what this is? It's a way to keep people away from your moonshine operation?
No, that's a whole nother story. I'll tell you that later.
Oh.
No, that's nothing to do with that.
Okay. Let me see here. Some questions on what's going on with my engine. Let me see. Okay. So somebody was asking, what type of MCI do you have?
It's an MCI 8,
Okay.
78 model.
So how long did the 8 operate? What were the years?
I think there's some 8 still operating in some places, from what I've heard.
But I mean, when were they being produced?
Oh, geez, I think the MC8 started in the late 70s.
Okay.
And then the MC9 came in around 80, 81 maybe, I think. But there was a lot of these buses made.
Yeah, seems like it. So it's one of the bricks or whatever they call them, the shoebox. Or what's the nickname they've got for them?
I have no idea. I just know they're big. They're just big and heavy, and everything on them's big and heavy.
Yeah. All right. So one of the other pictures that I'm throwing up right now is the picture of the 2 buses that I've got. If you don't kind of know what's going on already, basically we were able to get the bus back from. There we go. We were able to get the bus back from Holland, where we had some problems, and now both of my buses are successfully back in Traverse City, and so I wanted to talk a little bit about that because I know some people are already starting to ask questions about kind of what went on. So so the bus on on I guess that would be your left, the silver bus, is actually a 1941 pre-war bus, and we spent 2 weeks in Belpre, Ohio back last year, October, November. Scott, who's a bus grease monkey, and Tyler and myself, and we worked on this thing forever. And we replaced, I guess, a number of things, but, we repacked, we put all new hub bearings in there. We repacked all the hubs. We, fixed the brakes. We fixed the airlines. We, replaced every line, fuel lines and airlines and all that stuff. And then we drove it to Indianapolis to get some springs put on it, which it's got new springs on it. And it's sitting pretty high in the front, but it's empty too. There's nothing in it. So it'll come back down once we get some stuff done. And then one of the things that we ended up doing is once it left Indianapolis, we came up to Traverse City, and we had some problems with the brakes. And the brakes kind of went out, and we could swear it was the treadle valve, and we're working on the treadle valve for a while, and it turns out it just got dark. Tyler and I were both just kind of exhausted from it, so we took it to a shop, and they put new cans in and bled all the brakes out. The brakes actually had quite a bit of liquid in them, and I don't know if it's because we were driving in the rain or if it just from sitting for a while. But they cleared the whole system, and so that the brakes work like a charm now. And so then on Sunday we drove home, and we got probably 2.5 hours into it, and the lights started to fade. They were running great the whole time, and it just seemed like when our RPMs weren't running as oh yeah, Dennis reminded me I replaced the whole engine mount on the bus too. That took us 3 days. So it's running pretty well. I need to rewire it. I don't think the generator is bad. I think that the wiring is just kaput. I mean, we put it together just to get it home, and we have to rerun the wire the right way. And so once I do that, and then I can test the generator to see kind of what's going. You're familiar with the concept, Rodney, of flashing a generator?
Yeah, polarizing it to make it positive or negative.
Well, there's something that you can do where I don't know. Phil was talking to us about this up in Minnesota. That there's some little trick you can do to, if the brushes are starting to get glazed over or something, you can get it cleaned up so that it's operating again, and it loses its magnetics, and you can recharge the magnetics.
Right. There's a procedure in the book to tell you exactly how to do it too in the manual.
So we ended up getting it home, And thanks to Mylan, who is a guy who doesn't live too far away from me that has been watching some of my videos, offered to help me. We went down to Holland. We brought it back. Ran out of juice about 20 minutes from home, but it was pitch black out, and so we parked it. And then Tuesday we got it home, and that's where it's sitting right now. So I'm not doing anything mechanical to it until the spring. I'm going to work on the inside. Both are kind of semi-gutted, and so I think I'm going to start working on the newer bus first. Somebody was asking a little while ago if there was somebody was asking if I had figured out what I'm going to do with the engine on the newer bus, the 47, which is the bus on the right. It's smoking pretty bad and things like that. I think I'm just going to work on the interior. I mean, it runs. I have to change the water manifold. I have to probably replace the thermostat. I've got a new one. I've got another one to replace them with. I think I'm going to just get all of those types of things done. The fan is the original fan, which those things are pretty hinky. Do you have the original fan in yours too?
No, it's been changed.
Yeah, see, I've got to go through and change that on mine because it's just not. The radiator's drained right now, so in the spring I'll probably pull the radiator off and swap out the fan. I found a good fit from a company that's based in Grand Rapids. They sell all kinds of different fan pitches and number of blades, and then the mounting pattern. They're pretty good at it, so I'm going to probably do that. So that's it looks like we're starting to glitch a little bit. I wonder what's going on.